LEGO makes a lot of sets, and although many are great, some are not. Even if you love LEGO, you might question what exactly the designers were thinking when they made these, because today we'll be looking at some of LEGO's worst sets, including one that LEGO management deemed so bad that it wasn't even released. To start things off, let me tell you about the atrocious, epic failure that is the Fire Helicopter Response set from 2020. This set has 35 one-star reviews on the official LEGO website, which makes it one of the lowest rated sets ever released, and for good reason. First off, let's talk about price. This box retailed for $30 and only came with 93 pieces, which puts it at a staggering 32 cents per piece, which is about 3 times the typical price. While price per piece isn't always the best judge of a set's value, the price is simply outrageous for such a small, unlicensed playset. So what made it so pricey? Well, the single biggest culprit is this single-piece helicopter body. This part is incredibly large for a mainline set, and it looks like it would be home in a Juniors or even Duplo build. Why make it such a large, unique piece when countless other small helicopter builds exist? Well, this set actually had somewhat of a unique play feature, because this helicopter could really fly. Well, kind of. This was one of just 3 sets to include this helicopter part alongside the equally low-rated police helicopter transport set and the air race set, each of which also came with this unique rotor blade that resembles the old Air Jitsu Ninjago sets. That's essentially what these builds were trying to be, helicopters that you could launch into the air by pulling the ripstick. Cool concept, but sadly it didn't really work. You see, it seems that each of these sets suffered from the same problem. The helicopter was just simply too heavy to fly. It's a fun idea, but one that really could have used a bit more testing before launch, literally. When it comes to the negative reviews on LEGO's website, I've personally never seen more 1-star reviews on any other set. Many of these reviews mention how the helicopter just drops to the ground and that no one should buy this set. Oh, and to make matters worse, the coffee cup held by Freya on the box doesn't even come in the set. As much as I love LEGO, this is truly one of the worst LEGO sets of all time. Now, any conversation about the lowest rated LEGO sets typically mentions the company's many failed attempts at constructible figures. Seriously, I don't know what it is about these things, but every few years LEGO releases a new line and there's always a few that just don't look right. But in 2004, it was really bad. This was the year of Knight's Kingdom 2, a sub-theme of LEGO Castle. Not all of these sets were bad, such as the Citadel of Orlan, but unfortunately, a large chunk of this line was made up of these large constructible knights. With about 40 pieces each, these sets were held back by overall poor design. Most notably though, their shields. These set images make them look like hard plastic, but what if I told you that they were actually paper? Yup, a shield made up of very thin cardboard, which according to various reviews, fell off extremely easily because it was only attached between a couple studs, not to mention how warped and bent the shield would become. However, these weren't the only versions of these knights to be released. In 2005, LEGO put out a whole series of micro action figures as prizes in various cereal boxes across Europe. While these are a bit closer to LEGO minifigure scale, they look more like cheap knockoffs than actual LEGO products. I mean, without those studs on the shield, these wouldn't even look like LEGO at all. Now, a few years later, we got a little dose of nightmare fuel with Spider Monkey from Ben 10 Alien Force, which got a measly 21 parts and a retail price of $15. That's 71 cents per piece, which is approximately 7 times the average for LEGO sets. Granted, these are very large molded pieces, but this is the worst price-to-piece ratio of any LEGO buildable figure, and I think that award is the only thing that this set has ever accomplished. Today, these things are still floating around, and new in-box copies can be found for about $10, which is lower than retail price, and about the same price of this Joker buildable figure, which has a facial expression that is extremely unsettling. I certainly don't want this thing looking at me while I try to sleep at night. Now, around the same time, the first Avenger himself, Captain America, also got one of these overly bulky figures in 2012. This 44-piece set originally sold for $15 when it was released in 2012, but even with 3 times the parts for the same price as the Ben 10 sets, it was still deemed too pricey for many fans. Regardless of any economic argument, I'd say that this set just simply failed to deliver on every level. The whole shape of his head is just off, and no matter how hard I look, I can't find any images of Captain America wearing giant oversized metal shoulder armor. On the plus side though, I do really like the giant shield piece. It's not cardboard, so that's good. Alright, let's change lanes a little bit. This set is named Build Your Own Monster or Vehicles - Make It Yours, which might be one of the longest and worst names for a LEGO product ever released. There are almost more letters in its name than bricks in the actual set. That's ridiculous. This seemingly random 60-piece set was a gift with purchase from LEGO back in September of 2021, and it included a small selection of green and white bricks to help you build your own monster, or car apparently. Well, let's not get carried away with the endless possibilities of this absolutely massive assortment of pieces. Like I said, this polybag only had 60 of them, and none of them were particularly interesting. For example, the only wheels that were included were these 2 cartwheel axle pieces. This is the equivalent of going to a car dealership and seeing that the only cars in stock are those mini plastic cars for kids. These have got to be the worst wheels that LEGO makes, but at least they were generous enough to include a steering wheel piece. Looking at the packaging, this set feels like some kind of off-brand Mixels set. It's just a straight-up worse version of the Glorp Corp tribe from LEGO Mixels. The LEGO designer behind this set must have just taken a handful of random green bricks, set them on a table, and then said, "Yup, I'm done for the day. I'm going home." Sticking with underwhelming vehicles, there's the Technic ATX Sports Cycle from 1992. Going back to these early 90s sets, I'm always blown away by just how far LEGO has come. But even back in the day, this build was a disappointment. By 1992, Technic had been around for more than a decade and was leaning heavily into replicas of real-world vehicles. But this thing? Well, I for one don't think I would trust driving this so-called sports cycle. Sadly though, this isn't the first nor the last LEGO car to miss the mark. A year earlier, in 1991, LEGO put out the 21-piece red race car. This build is certainly lacking by modern standards, but for only $2 at the time, it's hard to complain too much. The biggest issue that I have with this is the lack of a minifigure. I mean, there's room for one, and the designers clearly intended for one to be used, so why not include it? This set doesn't feel complete without one. I mean, just think, could you imagine if a polybag like this LEGO City Demolition Driller polybag, or this race car polybag, just straight up didn't come with a minifigure? That would be beyond disappointing. Moving on, the Speed Champions line is one of LEGO's most consistently amazing themes, but sadly, no theme is perfect, and even Speed Champions has a flop. The Audi R8 was released in 2016 and holds the dubious honor of being the lowest rated set from this otherwise esteemed lineup, according to Brickset review ratings. So what sets this one apart from the others? Well, there are a few issues. First up, the stickers. By now, we all know that LEGO has a bit of a sticker problem, and this car is a prime example. With 175 pieces, this set includes an eye-watering 30 stickers, meaning that 1 in every 6 pieces will need to have a sticker applied to it. Many fans have specifically pointed out the front grille and headlights as being a bit lazy on LEGO's end, and the set of 3 tail stickers that all need to be aligned perfectly to look good. Additionally, the shape and scale of this thing are just a little off, and the finished model just doesn't really resemble the real-life car since the proportions are just entirely too exaggerated. The real car is very wide and very low, which means that this version would probably have benefited from being 8 studs wide instead of only 6. To be honest, this is true for many cars, which is why nowadays LEGO has transitioned to designing Speed Champion cars 8 studs wide for more dimensional accuracy. Now, up next is one of the absolute lowest rated sets that LEGO has ever released across any line, the Traffic Light Patrol. And as I explain why, go tap that subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. This 30-piece build is apparently the best that LEGO could pull off here, and left a lot of fans pretty disappointed. Honestly, I have a hard time judging the Juniors line too harshly, and despite having more than 40 reviews with very low ratings on Brickset, at the end of the day, this is a junior set, so simplicity is expected. These junior sets aren't really supposed to be complicated builds, and they're meant for very young kids, so I'm tempted to give this one a pass. I mean, no one expects this car to move on its own or anything. But you see, getting LEGO vehicles moving on their own has been a reoccurring dream of LEGO's over the years. While they've had some wins, it's been a lot of failures as well. One line that saw a window of success was the Speedors series from the Legends of Chima. These $15 sets typically included 80 to 90 pieces, and we got a total of 30 of them, so clearly they were selling well enough at the time. Today, most of these sets actually sit with decent reviews, with sets like Boulder Bowling, Swamp Jump, and Ring of Fire being considered fan favorites. At the other end of the spectrum though sits Tower Target. I've included it because it has the lowest rating of all Speedors sets by a healthy margin. I'm not 100% sure what fans dislike about this set specifically, as I, for one, don't actually own this one, but if you do, let me know your thoughts below. My theory is that this set got the short end of the stick because there were just so many other Speedor sets to pick from at the time, especially when you could get the Whirling Vines set, which had released a few months prior and was considered to be one of the best obstacles at the time. It also included Gorzan, the gorilla tribe leader, who had a much larger presence in the TV show than Grism. If you wanted a gorilla minifigure and were looking to buy a Speedor set, everything about the Whirling Vines set was just better, and they were both out at basically the same time. Now, we've looked at quite a few sets already in this video, but there are a few that are truly awful, even worse than the ones we've looked at. In fact, this next one was so bad that LEGO decided to not even bother releasing it after the first promotional images were revealed to the public. Set 4905, simply called a Giraffe, was supposed to be released in 2005. However, after the set's images first appeared in a few advertisements, the response was unanimous, and people were not happy. With only 37 pieces, this polybag couldn't have been priced any higher than a few dollars, and may have even been intended to be a free gift or promotional item, but even LEGO executives found themselves underwhelmed by the set's design. The set was unceremoniously pulled from adverts, never to see the light of day. However, if you want one of these for yourself, the instructions are actually available for free download on LEGO's website. This is pretty surprising, to be honest, as LEGO has incredibly strict guidelines for its public image, and if this set was deemed too poor to release, I'm genuinely shocked that LEGO decided to put the knowledge on how to build it into public hands. Regardless, if you have the pieces, you can build it for free, which is a nice gesture. But yet, there's one particular LEGO set that really takes the cake when it comes to poor design. Gorm from the now defunct Galidor line. With 12 pieces and selling for $10, this figure looks nothing like anything else that LEGO has ever released, and even a new in-box version today sells for only 15 bucks. But this isn't even the worst version of this figure, because the absolute lowest rated LEGO set that I could find is this mini Gorm from 2002 with a 1.4 star rating on Brickset. This little guy was released as a Happy Meal toy at McDonald's in the United States and Canada and came with 4 pieces. Hopefully this is as low as LEGO ever goes. Luckily though, LEGO has many sets that are way better than this one. Let me show you. Click here right now to see the most creative and genius LEGO sets, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more LEGO videos.